welcome to a little coaching call here, and we're going to be diving into mindset. That is the overall thing that I think is going to best move you and myself forward. And so we're going to be diving into 10 different things. So Brian Parana, will be here holding it down with you. I hope you enjoy the ride. Make sure you grab pen, paper. You can reflect, write down different things that are going on with what I'm talking about, the different mindset shifts that we need to create for you. And so looking forward to creating some clarity and some forward motion for you with breaking these down and creating these. So we're going to start, without further ado, we're starting out with number 10. Am I good enough? Now, this is a really big issue with people. Comparing yourself, one with others, is a very big problem. What we end up doing is see how others are doing with their life and their progress, and how their diets are going, how they might have weight loss, or how they are, getting bigger muscles, right? Or how much they're working out, and how well put together they are. And so these things end up casting doubt in yourself, and what you end up doing, you start thinking about how you aren't losing weight, or you aren't making the progress you want, you're not transforming your body as much as you'd like, and you become discouraged. So this is something that I even had gotten in a text today from a very specific client, and basically I told him, knock it off, because you're good enough, you're very capable, and we need to keep moving. Anything that I try and have you do with yourself is to figure out exactly what you're looking to accomplish, and then keep a track record, and just keep you moving you forward, so that we create forward progress. So we keep learning what you're doing, how you're doing it, and how the body reacts, how your mind's reacting to both the training, the nutrition, and the overall ease of the process. So a little personal story here is my biceps. So there's not much there, and if I compare myself to like these big guys or whatever, then I can often get discouraged as well. So my arms aren't as big as I'd like, and so it's a personal venture and journey for me to trying to get a little more muscle balance in my life. And I can reflect on, I'm 33 now, so back when I was in my teens and 20s, I spent a significant amount of time running. I did a fair amount of biking, swimming, and so a lot of my body was so used to endurance, and therefore I didn't do muscle building activities as much as just being fit and in shape. So there you are with my personal bicep story, how that might relate to you. Maybe you might have something that you're not feeling as good enough. But ultimately, you're on your own personal journey, and you may feel like you're making progress, but maybe not as fast as anybody else. You know that we need to keep our head down every single day, stay focused on what it is you're doing, and we ultimately want to keep working on that individualized program that you're on. And if you're doing more than you did yesterday, that's a great thing. If you're implementing, testing, experimenting more than you did the week before, the day before, then we're really, really in the right direction, okay? Number 9 is worrying about others and what they think, okay? Whether it's your diet, maybe you're in the office place and you're packing your food now instead of eating whatever's in there. Maybe you're packing your meals. Maybe the way you're working out is different now. Coach's way is another way that people can kind of start to judge you a little bit, and that's never a good thing to be in someone else's mind. You have no idea where they're at, what they're thinking, what they've been through, Even if they told you or shared some of their story, it could be just a very small shred of their personal story. So diving in and staying head down. So really, what it comes down to is kind of fear, and the fear of your personal change can be overwhelming at times, and challenge you to push and push yourself through. So really think of about your current situation, where you're at, and how someone in the past may have said something to you. They may have put some limiting beliefs on you. So maybe like a parent, a friend, a family member. They may have said something to you. They have kind of put you in put you in your place. Maybe they said you're overweight or whatever, or you shouldn't be eating these type of foods, or you can fill in the blanks there as you go. But that becomes a big issue with people just thinking about what they may have said to you. And so, secondly, whenever you have negative thoughts, I challenge you to stop and think of exactly where that thought came from and how to challenge it and dispel it and get rid of it. So we kind of want to like grab onto why are you thinking that, what's causing you to think that, and how are we going to get rid of it. So anytime resistance shows up in your life, points where something's hard and challenging, I definitely challenge you to kind of toss it back into the sea of thought and get rid of it, because oftentimes you'll end up spending a fair amount of time thinking about what somebody else is doing, and it's just not going to be very good for you. And one thing, everybody has negative thoughts, but it's really just what you do with them that allows you to change. Okay. Um, you're not pushing yourself. That's number 8. You're not pushing yourself as far and as hard as you know you should be. Everyone has days where they're not like at full tilt. They're not doing their all. They're not giving into. They're giving into what's going on, and so we want to make sure that we. There we go. So to get this set up a little bit more. All right, fantastic. Got it set. So going back to not pushing yourself, okay? Um, so everybody has days where they're tired, or they're stressed, or they need to relax when they get home from work, or they need to skip meal prep, or relax in their food choices. You get so busy in your day, or somebody invites you to do something after work, so you end up skipping your workout because of that, or you're just so sore that you end up skipping it. Um, but I find that people, specifically coaching clients that I have, they end up struggling with not pushing themselves because they have a lack of clarity. They're not really dialed into what their goals are, and it's really not setting you up for making things easier and having long-term success. So um, another thing to think about is maybe you have a belief system that's keeping you stagnated where you're currently at. So it could be something with your like body weight, like I'm always going to weigh this body weight because it's never going to change, or it could be your physical capacity. Um, Not being fit, or say a 5K. I can never run a 5K, or I'm not going to be able to get back to where I was 5 years ago. So there's a certain like a limiting belief you can put on yourself of not being able to get back to where you were, and that can be really holding you back. Um, Even if you want something really bad, oftentimes how I get introduced to people is there's an emotional event that is created, and it forces someone it gets someone really uncomfortable with where they're at, and they want to dive in and shift, and they want to create change. So I'm sick and tired of wearing these pants because they don't fit me anymore. They're too tight, or there could be some other emotional outburst that can kind of cause a shift in the way you feel about yourself and the desire to change. And so that is we've got those moments, and then what happens is that as the farther we get away from the specific events, is the more cooled off you end up becoming. So you your capacity to strive and push ends up deflating, so to speak. Um, so it'll ultimately just overwork your capacity to get you where you want to go. So another issue here is just self-belief with being able to push. If you don't believe that you can get that body truly deep down inside, then self-sabotage is an easy thing to pop up. So when a husband brings home, when the spouse brings home cookies, or when the coworkers have their desserts, or it's a birthday party, or it's a social gathering, or whatever, self-sabotage can easily creep in your mind and cause you to skip doing the minor details that are going to get you to that upper limit. So we want to live up here. Most of us realize that we're living down here, and we know that there's just a lot of small, tiny details that need to be put into place to keep you up here and have you living and lasting, going all out with this stuff. So, and it really comes down to a couple key things with the small details. So, like water, we got making sure you're hitting all your workouts, or 90% of them in throughout the week. It could be tracking your food or prepping your food. Um, that's something that becomes ever present in my life because it creates some congruency, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. Moving on with this point here, still, we want to have a true passion of what you want to look and feel like. You want to feel that deep down inside, and when you feel that, then nothing's going to stop you. So for me, a personal trait for me is that I know that I will 99% chance of working out tomorrow, and I've already got a run planned in to my morning. And so when I get back from that, I'll probably try and hit some weights and squeeze those in before I get really busy with work. But knowing that I have a passion to move and pursuit of looking better, feeling better, that drives me every single day. Okay, and it doesn't matter really like how much sleep I've gotten, or maybe how much I've eaten in a day, or how busy things are. I'm still gonna figure it out and make sure it happens. Going again further with this is an awareness factor. Once we have awareness, once we understand what is happening on in our lives and in our efforts, it becomes critical, and allowing us to know that we need to keep the pedal to the metal going in this process and in this particular area of life, then we can really keep pushing it there. And then one thing I'd like you to do right now is kind of reflect on any areas in your life where you may have it all together. You're pushing the pace. You're pushing yourself. You're striving for something more and new. And then maybe you can model those areas in this particular area of your life, so that you're able to achieve what it is that you're exactly looking for. Number 7, we're going with lack of direction. Okay, I have the drive, and you've got the drive. You're not lazy, but you don't have a strategy. Okay, and then what happens is oftentimes you can be putting a ton of hours in, and then ultimately see minimum results. So let's take a snapshot of where I used to work at. Was a particular gym in the area, and what happened with this gym was that people would come in day after day after day. God bless them. I was so happy that they were there to move. But when we kind of dove into what their actual goals were while they were there, they really weren't moving the needle in that direction. So seeing minimal results because they have a lack of direction and kind of show up at the gym, wander around, talk to somebody. Next thing you know, an hour's passed and they really haven't checked many boxes off their list. Now, sometimes what I see with some of my coaching clients is that we're looking for just a 5% shift. Okay, so you're looking this way, and I want to just go like, hey, look this way. That can be resulted with the particular food, the nutrition, the fitness, even like what stuff we're talking about right now is like the mindset. So another client has said, hey, I need you to have a hell nah attitude about this. Like, so when you wake up in the morning, you get out of bed and you're like, oh hell nah, I'm not going to be putting up with this anymore. And that really helped resonate with this specific individual, and that's something that we kind of keep resounding and going back to. Like, the direction is we're not putting up with this anymore. And so anytime when you want to slack off, it ultimately they get back on the direction that they want to go and they move forward. So like sometimes it could be just a wrong model that's creating the lack of direction. So maybe we went through a very aggressive nutritional period, from Atkins to South Beach to the zone to all sorts of different diets and this, that, and the other, marketing, 30 pounds in 30 days. And so even following some of those protocols, it may have been successful, but not necessarily long term. And sometimes clients are a little dogmatic about getting in that, staying in that particular mindset. So like no carbs or low fat or any of that stuff. We all know that the low fat craze that happened in like the 80s really wasn't that good for a human being. Fat's essential to the body. So another model could be just doing long, slow cardio. It's not that activity in general isn't a great thing, but if we know that science proves over and over again that HIIT training, high intensity interval training, is far better than doing any type of long, slow cardio when at the gym. So going back to the gym thing, this is when you'll see a lot of people just slugging away in the treadmill, and you see them there time and again, and nothing changes. So great for their movement, but not great for their progress. Now, finding direction, I'd love for you to think of someone that inspires you, and then you can kind of shift and see how and model what they do to be successful. What are they doing with their nutrition? What are they doing with their workouts? Their attitude toward being successful. And what really happens is when you're inspired by someone, you can dive in and reach your own personal goals. It helps push you through those limits, those plateaus, and keeps driving. Okay, then you can really believe that it's possible for you to do this and do exactly what they did, because you just kind of copy and paste in your own life. Rinse and repeat, they say. So look into somebody that you can model after and find some really true success there. Number 6, having a block around being successful. Okay, status quo is a very strong homeostasis, is what humans love to kind of to be at. Once at rest, stays at rest. And so questioning, pressing, pushing, any of those limits, those limiting beliefs can really, it can be Groundhog Day and very repetitious. So instead, of thinking like an athlete, someone who trains their body, they fuel their body with proper nutrition, kind of are stuck and blocked up with being a dieter where they're trying to starve themselves and trying to whittle away instead of have the body thrive in its own area. So, so the main point about if you're good where you are, that's okay. But this is really about this mindset stuff. Is really about pushing where you're at and driving forward. So that's one of the things I'm always looking to press that button. Like, where do we want to go? How are we going to get there? What are the buttons to press to help accelerate your progress and your success? So then, we can we can either blow up the blocks, the walls, um, go around them, or cut a hole in the wall and just walk right through them. Okay. Um, this will allow us to really kind of set ourselves up for some really strong personal health and wellness. Number 5, can't stay focused. So there could be a ton of different moving targets in your life um, when it comes to trying to get on the straight and narrow path of exercise and the nutrition stuff. Time management becomes very critical when you look at areas in which you spend your time, and you really, really, really need to evaluate what the value they bring into your life and what you'll get from them. So, one for time is going to be easy ways to self sabotage your time and not being able to stay focused for things like Netflix or Facebook or um, just email, chatting at work with people. Um, Even it could be relatives or family that or friends that they don't really add a ton of value in your life, but you end up hanging out with them, or you end up doing this, that, or the other with them, and they end up just kind of wasting your time. So self sabotage is a big thing. That shiny syndrome, and you're kind of looking at this, that, the next big thing. My gig with exercise is let's try and work hard by lifting weights, getting stronger, building some muscle, burning fat that way. With the nutrition, we're looking to really track and kind of really understand how nutrition works for you, so that by tracking your food, figuring out macros, and really understanding how pieces of the nutrition pie fit into everything, then you yourself can develop a very keen understanding of how to do this for yourself. So um, one thing, if you aren't always looking at how you can improve your mind and your body, then you're susceptible of losing your way and becoming off track. And just Google, like, you could take what I just said, or you can just Google and come up with a million different ways to go about exercise, nutrition, and kind of just end up getting kind of perplexed about, oh, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? I mean, even I can fall susceptible to that and spend a lot of time reading articles or whatever, and I'm like, at the end of the day, it's when we lift weights, we're lifting like two big, heavy, a couple different heavy compound lifts. We want to do some intervals in there, and we're looking for at least 20 plus minutes of good, consistent action that is going to create some good success. So um, even my workouts are really boring. I'll end up doing like 3, maybe 4 exercises period in the course of like 45 minutes or so, just because I'm doing reps after reps after reps and making sure I get it in. So I stay focused, I get enough work done, and get going. The one number 4. Let's think of this as a quote. How do you feel with I won't ever lose weight or get in shape? How does that make you feel? Thoughts are a specific way that you can really be detrimental to where you're going, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. So this kind of falls into negative self-beliefs. Um, when you're in these type of mental situations, like, and you kind of throw yourself into that category of I won't be able to, then you really can't pull the resources from your mind that will allow you to actually problem solve for yourself with exactly what it is you need. You are a very resourceful, very intuitive person that wants something specific, that seeks something specific out. And you can accomplish that specific goal that you set for yourself, and your mind will find ways to do it. So it's always like twisting, tweaking, learning to adapt. And so we need to make sure that we allow space to do that. And if we keep it in a kind of a scarcity mindset, then you're closing your mind off. You're closing the door on forward progress. But if we have a little bit more of an abundance mindset, then you're allowing your mind to expand, your body to expand, and push your limits of where you're at. So there's always doors that become they start to open. So we want to make sure that we're not limiting our capacity. When you shift, you want to make sure you're keeping things opened up. All right. Now, things like I won't definitely needs to be flipped into I can, or I can change this, I can do that, and these allow us to kind of squash negative thought patterns, and that's a very, very powerful thing. Becoming aware of the negative thought patterns is even more critical. So, a super easy way to start doing that is the rubber band exercise. So, what you end up doing, I have people do this if they're really kind of struggling with uh, negative self-talk, and it's that I can't type of attitude. So what we do is you take a rubber band, you put it on your wrist, and any time that you are consciously aware of what's going on up here, and it's a very negative type thought pattern, then you take that rubber band, you pull it back, and you let it go. And what's happening here is it's a pattern interrupt, because you get a nice aggressive snap on your wrist, and it breaks the pattern of you diving into this rabbit hole of negative thoughts, and you pop it out 10 minutes later. You're like, wow, what the heck just happened to me? Like, that was interesting. And they're usually stories that they're not true. They're never going to happen, and you just fabricate them and on and on and on end. So remembering that we need it to be and leave opportunity open. Another easy way to outside, if you don't want to snap yourself with a rubber band, that is very, very effective. You could journal. Inside the online resources, is a little paper on journaling and a PDF that can kind of explain the thoughts, benefits of doing it. It also gives you some questions that you can kind of fill out and kind of dive into some self-reflection. I've journaled a fair amount in my day, and I am really always surprised about what's up in here and what flows out through my hand. And the act of physical writing is a great way as an outlet to be able to dump these I can't type of approaches and really focus on gratitude and being appreciative of where you're at, what you're doing, and what your efforts are to correct your behaviors. Things like I'm never going to lose the weight will always keep you in that same emotional pattern of behavior, and always keep you from thinking of ways to get out of it. All right, there it is. Said enough. Lack of self-belief. If you don't have a high level of personal, positive self-worth, and knowing that you are enough and can make the necessary changes you need to get where you want to go, then you'll really never be able to shift. When you share with individuals on another level, is that you really want to guard who you're sharing it with, because they can squash that self-belief as well. Like, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds. And you really want to make sure that you're finding someone that will hold you to where you need to be accountable. And that would be me. And then also they're going to help you create that desired outcome rather than hold you back. Now, let's think of this the lack of self belief. Think of a story, a timeline around New Year's resolutions that maybe you have experienced yourself. So, everybody gets all gung ho, they get going, move, 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 move. And what they ended up wanting to do is obviously create change. And what better time than the start of the year? And so, a like 80% of New Year's resolutions are done and over with 2 weeks in. Why? They've given up. Their emotional high has simmered down. They realize that the work they were going to do has relaxed, and so they end up really kind of struggling to get past that. And then when they share this with people, they ended up even feeling worse. So you end up doing tell a bunch of people, oh, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm joining this challenge, or whatever, and you end up not having success there. Excuse me. Pardon me. So that's one issue, a really kind of easy thing to think about in New Year's resolution, and then think of somebody else who's done that in the past. They've said, hey, I'm going to do I'm gonna go lose 20 pounds this New Year's, and what happens is that they end up, it becomes unbelievable over time. You're like, wow, you tried that last year and it didn't work, or hey, I lost a bunch of weight, but I gained it all back. And each time you try and get back down to where you were, the lack of support ends up um, from those people becomes less and less, and therefore you end up losing a lot of self-belief as yourself for yourself. So one thing you really have to do here is always build yourself up and continue to work on yourself so that you can believe that you're able to do it. Surround yourself with people that are going to help support you, and they're going to help push you. One thing I always try and ask people are just like, who else in your life is pushing as hard to achieve this specific outcome? Who else is asking you tough, challenging questions that really make you think about where you're at? What your relationship with yourself is, what your relationship with your spouse, with your kids, if you have any, how you treat yourself. These are I really want to try and provide some really thought-provoking questions to you to really analyze what your goals are and how you're getting there in a fun, fast, objective way at it, okay? Number 2, I just don't have any confidence, okay? Now, with confidence, I've actually heard this quite a bit in the last week between people who are looking to jump on board the Momentum program, and the biggest thing here is that I find that their lack of confidence comes in sometimes to the congruency of what they're saying. So I'm saying I want to be fit, but they're not doing any exercise. I'm saying I want to eat healthy, but they're still having fast food. They say, like, for me, a very congruent thing would be, hey, I am an expert in nutrition, but I am 30 pounds overweight or something, and that would create a very incongruent type of an effect that your personal self is not going to trust. So congruency is going to be a big, big, big thing to help create that confidence that we need. And one of I find that people lack confidence because it's coming from a lack of experience with creating change where it is needed. So experience in nutrition, experience in exercise, doing something different, and because you don't know how to do it, you've never been there before, then you can lack a bit of confidence going into these situations, like going to the gym, especially like women going to the weight room in the gym can be very intimidating thing. It doesn't have to be, but you build this thing up in your head about why it should be, and so then therefore you end up really kind of just settle for your treadmill work at a low intensity and not really getting results because you just won't go to the gym, or you just won't learn some of the skills that you need to make it happen. lot of people that I talk with, um, they really have to reflect on their negative self confidence, and really believe and understand their thought patterns, the way they are able to believe, and their capacity to change and adapt. And so when they start believing that they can change, and we want to show you the easiest, fastest way to do that, especially in your first week ever working with me, is like, okay, how do we make this process so super easy that you're like, oh man, that was like, it just changed. It was that easy. It wasn't a struggle. It wasn't hard. It wasn't any of those things. And so we want to make sure that we're setting you up for a really good success and progression throughout. Um, and one thing you also can think about is when you're talking to somebody else is we're diving into their confidence in themselves. Are they coming off as a confident person? Are their inner being showing off this confidence? Hopefully that you see that I like to try and be confident, and hopefully you see that with my energy level. You see that with my follow through and my actions. You see that in the things I say, and a lot of that stuff becomes coming from experience for me. Like, hey, I'm gonna go do this workout, and I'm gonna have the confidence that I'm gonna crush it because I've been in experiences before. These would be like back in my CrossFit days, like have this really strong, aggressive workout to do, and I would be like, I'm gonna get in here and crush it. Why? Because I know how to do it. I've done this stuff before, and my experience showed me the way to creating some very strong change there. And last up, let's wrap this up here with the number one thing that the mindset shift that will help you create some momentum in your life is fear of failure. Things to think about, like what happens if it doesn't work this time. That this is normal for you, and this is just where you're gonna stay. One thing that is critical important when we have fear of failure is that failure is just simply learning. It's you've tested and you experience and you learn from it. So every single time that every single rep, every single food bite, everything that even at work, like you go into work and you're testing thoughts and theories and your kind of your own intuition. Sometimes you're going to be right, other times you're going to be wrong, and you're not necessarily always going to be successful. And so failure is just a stepping stone onto the next step in your life to create further success. Um, when someone is successful, they find that failure is simply feedback, and they look forward to it because they know how to change, adapt, twist, and modify. That is something that I have to do. Fear of failure is something. Sometimes I feel like I'm only as good as my last client, and that drives me to work harder, work smarter, dive in more, push myself, push you harder. Even like it's 11:19 right now, and I'm pushing to get this done because I said I was going to do it, so it's going to get done, and hopefully you enjoy it. And if you don't, you can tell me, and then I'll readapt and modify and twist and tweak to make it better next time I do it. And my messaging that I say to you, I transmit out anywhere else is more impactful. One thing that we want to always be doing is investing in yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, and allowing you to push your personal boundaries to get the success that you are looking for in your world with your body, with your health, your nutrition, and investing comes in with like a coach, or investing can come into gaining experience. So I'm going to invest my time and effort and energy in lifting some weight so I can try and transform my body. Could be I'm going to invest in some equipment, like I'm going to get a bike so I can go bike ride and get some physical exercise that way and meet my needs there. So there's lots of ways. The coaching stuff, or even further coaching type things that you can do with other programs, or someone that have seen twice now, Tony Robbins. So I've actually walked on fire with with Tony and his gang, and that was quite an experience. Spent 8 days with Tony, and it's quite an experience. Action packed, full days, like 13, 14 hour days of just like go 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 go, and that's investing in myself, to my mental, emotional, and physical capacity to do more. And when you do that, then you can push more. Once you fully commit to change, you see a large number of opportunities that shift into your direction, with relationships, with opportunities at work, with business, with other people. And once you open yourself up to these things, these opportunities just present themselves. They just happen, rather than you holding yourself back and closed off. So this goes to that scarcity or abundance mindset. Scarcity, you're closed off, you're secluding yourself from anyone and everyone else. And the abundance mindset, you're opening up, you're allowing others to access you and to have help impact you on a bigger level. And then kind of my last thought here is kind of going back into what I was saying, was like fear of failure. This is something that I deal with every day, and fear is something that every one of us deals with. Fear, we're not getting chased by lions, tigers, and bears anymore, but personal fear of like success, or between others, or in our modern world that we live in. There's plenty of fear. It's just how you respond. The hero and the coward are the same person. They deal with fear differently, though. The coward runs away, and the hero uses the fear to learn from it, and to empower themselves to push through and lean into it. So you can be a hero, you can be a coward. You're still gonna have to deal with fear, and that's something that you're gonna deal with the rest of your life, regardless, because that's just the nature of this world. Okay. So I hope that these 10 mindset shifts allowed you to have some of them became really relevant to you. Maybe you took some mental notes, you wrote some things down about where it is. So kind of a quick recap. Number 1 being a fear of failure. Number 2 is just don't have any confidence. Fear 3 is lack of self-belief. Fear 4 is kind of turning your I can, I won't thoughts from like I won't ever lose weight or get in shape, and really questioning how they make you feel. 5 is can't stay focused. 6 is having a block around being successful. 7 is lack of direction. 8 is you're not pushing yourself as hard or as far as you know you should be. Number 9 is worrying about what others think. And last up, number 10 is am I good enough? You are. You're good enough. You can do this. You've been there. You've experienced what you're looking for once before in your life. All we have to do is kind of dig that thoughts, feelings, that mindset up from when you were there, and ditch some limiting beliefs that you're currently living in that are holding you back. So maybe think about some limiting beliefs that you have that are holding you back, and I'd love to discuss them with you further. So have a wonderful day. I hope that you took a lot out of this coaching, and that it helps empower you to move forward with your goals.